move this. I don't know what genius came up with the idea of creating a clear podium. I don't need an obstacle course up here. There we go. All right, so good to talk to you all. There we go, we got a clicker over here. Good to be here today. It's good to be in front of you. I'm not gonna echo all George's words. I feel the same way he does about being up here and being able to see all of you. It's such a good thing. My name is Brendan Witcher. I'm a Vice President, Principal Analyst at Forrester Research. I've been an analyst about 8 years. Before this, I was head of strategy for a company called Guitar Center. Anybody know Guitar Center? Cool. And before that, I was head of marketing for Harry and David. Some of you know Harry and David, I would guess? Yeah. No woo for pears, huh? No fruit baskets, woo, fruit baskets. Okay, Guitar Center gets all the love. Okay, so I'm a strategy analyst, and that means I don't really know a whole lot about tech. I don't know about APIs. I don't care what an API is. Please don't explain it to me later. I don't care. I care more about why are consumers behaving the way they're behaving? Why are they choosing who they're choosing? Why are they choosing certain brands, certain experiences? What makes them tick? What makes them do what they do? Is it what you carry? Is it what you offer? No. And I'm going to prove that to you. Okay, because this presentation is far better listened to if you think like a consumer. So I'm gonna do a little magic trick. I'm gonna turn you all into consumers. I wanna make you take off your business hat. I wanna make you put on your consumer hat for the duration of this presentation. So everybody, and I can see all of you, close your eyes. I can see you, the limelight is never, close your eyes, you too, you close your eyes. Okay. I want you to imagine it's this coming weekend and you realize you have no groceries in the house. So you have to go grocery shopping, and whether you have a big family or you're gonna have a dinner party, you have to buy about $200 to $300 worth of groceries, okay? So you get up, you get whatever mode of transportation you use, you get in that car, whatever it is, you drive to the grocery store, the one that you always go to, you're in the parking lot, you walk through the parking lot, you walk through the front door, you look around, and you realize there are none of these. Open your eyes. These are three-dimensional shopping carts. Remember what these look like? Okay. There are none of these. And I don't mean they're all being used. I mean there are literally no shopping carts in the grocery store. Confused, as you should be, you walk up to the manager and say, what happened to all the shopping carts? Manager looks you straight in the eye and says, you couldn't figure out the ROI of a shopping cart. So we got rid of them. You know, we don't know what the value is. They're hard to maintain, they're hard to manage. They always got that left wheel that pulls you over into the aisle, right? So away they go, right? How do you feel right now? You?
Upset.
Upset? She's upset? How do you feel? The one I made you close your eyes. Yeah, you.
Frustrated.
Frustrated? Nothing good. Nothing good, right? How many of you would continue buying large portions of groceries with a grocer that didn't have shopping carts? One person. You're the first person in like 3 years. Congratulations, you're the exception. All data has an exception. There's always outliers. I work at a research firm. You're the outlier. I knew there'd be one. Now I presented, this is a fairly small audience, right? But I presented this in 2019 to over 150,000 people. There were some outliers like you. You're not alone. But very rarely, very, very rarely, right? Now here's the thing. All of you are familiar with this grocer, right? And you all said you'd abandon this grocer. Did the products or services that this grocer offers you help you stay with that grocer? No. Even though you know where the mayo is, even though you know where the ketchup is, you know where the meat is, you know where everything is, you may even know people that work there. You're comfortable there, and yet you're willing to walk away. Why? Because we know we have choice. The state of today's consumer is, we know we have choice. Sir, you have a very nice blue shirt on, right? Let me just paint a picture for you. Let's say that you spill some coffee on that shirt. How many places can you buy a blue shirt? Thousands. See, I knew he was going to say that. Let me go over here. I'm going to pick on you. Hi. Do you drink coffee? Yeah, you're in this industry. Everybody drinks coffee. Okay. If you had a coffee maker break, how many places can you buy a coffee maker? Thousands. She said thousands too. See, I always ask this question, and it doesn't matter if I ask for a savings account, motorcycle insurance, coffee maker, a blue shirt. We know we have choice. We know we can get this stuff anywhere. And people never say 1, 5, 10. They always say hundreds, thousands, millions, infinite. Right or wrong, that's the mindset of the consumer. Think about that. Never does anyone say less than hundreds. That's their mindset. I can get this stuff anywhere. The question is, why should I buy it from you? Now, here's the thing, because everybody talks about CX, right? Oh, customer experience is so important. It's such a banal platitude at this point, right? We're kind of tired of it. But everybody talks about it, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to show you it is everything. It is everything. Because let me ask you a question. How many things did this grocer screw up on? And all of you were willing to walk away. Count them up. That was it. That's all it took. That was it. And you were all willing to abandon your grocer along with 150,000 other people except for her. All of you. So what is the value of a shopping cart, or what is the value of getting experience right? It is everything. And what you have as an assortment, or the products you have, or the services you offer are not going to save you in a world where consumers feel they have unlimited choices. That is an old mindset way of thinking when we didn't have e-commerce. I said I worked at Guitar Center. We carried over 180,000 SKUs. We owned 66% of the music industry space. One day I was talking to the executive team, and they said, well, that's our competitive advantage. I go, how many items does the internet carry? We'll never have a bigger assortment than the internet, ever. That was 1990 way of thinking. Guitar Center is a very old company. That was 1990 way of thinking, but they were still thinking that way. Sweetwater Sound, great company, carried about half our SKUs. Guitar Center went bankrupt. Sweetwater Sound, doing very well. Okay? This idea, this what I just showed you, that consumer hat that you have on right now, is a reflection of what we find, what we call hyper-adoption and hyper-abandonment. How many of you have Facebook accounts? Yeah, you do. Put them up high. Yeah, all right, a Facebook account. Yeah, okay. How many of you are maintaining your MySpace account? Probably very few of you. I still have my MySpace for Dummies book, by the way. I show it off once in a while. How many of you have Netflix accounts? Yeah, okay. Do you know where your Blockbuster card is? No. Yeah, in a drawer somewhere. Mine too. Mine too, I have it framed. Okay, and how many use Uber? How many use Uber when you travel? Right? On a pretty regular basis. You kind of get the point of what I'm talking about here, right? Hyper-adoption, hyper-abandonment happens in all parts of our lives. It's not just in retail. It's in everything we do. When we find something that works better, we move quickly. This morning, you just all abandoned your grocer. Like that. That's how fast, that's how quick it happens. And that's the problem. That's the challenge. The other challenge is we really don't know what drives the consumer. We don't, okay? It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. That is from the opening scene of the Oscar-winning film, The Big Short. Ironically, Mark Twain never said this, which is something you didn't know, which can get you into trouble. And it got the people in The Big Short in trouble, obviously, because they quoted something mistakenly. But let me show you what that means in our world. In our world. I was working with a client, and this is what one of the executives said to me. Our data, that mighty data, shows that customers love us because of our unique products, our focus on quality, and our alignment with their values. Does this sound like something people say in your organization? Probably. Here's what their customers basically said. I love going into the stores, and even though they have a website, if I didn't ever live at their store, I would likely stop shopping with them. It is this disconnect, it is this misalignment with understanding the customer is why we lose customers. Okay? It's this misunderstanding of what we believe is our value proposition, what we think versus what the customer thinks, which disconnects us and creates problems in being able to win that digitally savvy, channel agnostic consumer of today. This is kind of what it is in a visual. We all want to surprise and delight the customer. Oh my gosh, if I hear more about surprise and delight, ugh. Okay? Nobody gets surprised and delighted. Nobody goes home and goes, honey, Best Buy really surprised and delighted me today. Nobody talks like that, okay? They're like, yeah, it was nice, it was good, you know? When people get surprised and delighted is when you screw up and then you fix it because they don't expect you to fix it. I actually am from the restaurant space, and I always said whenever we had a problem, that was the opportunity to create a loyal customer. Whenever people didn't have problems, they may or may not come back, right? So You want to surprise and delight them when you screw things up? Good for you. Day to day, not going to happen. I'm going to show you later why that doesn't happen, okay? But when your strategy is wrong, when you understand the customer wrong, this is what it looks like. That's customer experience right there. Right? That's what it feels like to the customer. This just doesn't work for me. Jordan even said it, right, when he was showing the customer journey thing is, doesn't this company get me by now? He even said it. He glazed over it, but it's an important statement that he made there. Let's take a look at what consumers think today about experiences. This is that hard reality. Digital sameness is pervasive. Again, how many of you go to conferences and hear someone, we want to create a unique experience for the customer and surprise and delight them, blah, 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 right? This is a resounding meh, right? 68% say it's all right. They're okay. So nobody's really doing it, are they? Why aren't they doing it? We can't even round up to 1% on the excellent line. That's how few people say that, right? So we're not being successful. We have to face that reality, is that we're not being successful. One of the reasons for this can be found in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. How many of you read Good to Great? Okay, it's probably the book people most often say they read that didn't read. But I'll give you the opening line to that book. Good is the enemy of great. Good is the enemy of great. Now, with apologies to Jim, if you understand the concept of that first line, you never have to actually read the book. Okay, so there you go. That's how you get away with it. Okay, what he means by that is once we do things good, we tend not to make them great. Our propensity as a business is to say, when we do things well, we need to move on to something else we don't do well. So I just showed you earlier that your products and your assortment do not create a competitive advantage, right? I also just showed you that when you're as good as everybody else, you tend to stop working on things. Again, there's no competitive advantage. Why are you even winning customers? Sometimes you have to think to yourself. How are we getting customers if we're not any different than anyone else? That is a hard reality that a lot of retailers and brands and companies that I work with have to face, is that they're really not that different. They really aren't surprising and delighting customers at all. Okay? 89% of companies say we're investing into personalizing the customer experience. 40% of consumers say the information I get from brands is relevant to my taste and interests. Which number is correct? It's the 40%. Your company probably says, we're doing personalization. Guess what? If you're not successful in creating a relevant value-added experience, it's called marketing. It's not personalization, that's just marketing. We do it all the time. Personalization is only real personalization if you truly create personalization, and that is subjective. Who gets to determine that? The consumer. It is subjective, not objective. The action of trying to do personalization and creating great experiences is not up to you. It is up to that consumer, and I'm going to show you why that gets so difficult. But there is business impact when we get it right. 1 in 3 consumers say, companies should do more to offer personalization. I should feel like these experiences are more relevant for me. I want to get value from companies. In fact, 4 out of 5 are willing to share that oh-so-precious data just to get a better experience from a company. Forget that Facebook thing. That was a bunch of nonsense, okay? People didn't have a problem with a free social media site collecting information so that people could see pictures of their grandkids. Okay, a bunch of senators didn't understand that, but we all get that, right? The problem was the data wasn't used in a way that provided value to the people who supplied the data. That was the real ethical question and real problem. We love sharing. We love talking about ourselves, and I'm going to show you that later too. Now, I know there's lots of people that's like, oh, Forrester's going to speak. He's going to get up there. He's going to give me this silver bullet. There'll never be a silver bullet, folks, and I'm going to show you why there's never going to be a silver bullet. 61% of consumers say, unlike traditional websites, does not provide a satisfactory customer experience. That is not a terribly interesting statistic. You probably could have guessed it, and I'm not big on showing stats. But there's an important word up here. I'm going to look to the center of the room for the answer. What is the most important word on this slide? Anyone want to guess? Satisfactory. Give that man a prize. I'll give you a pen later or something. Satisfactory. Why? Bonus question. It's the bare minimum. Ooh, so close.
Do I still get the pen?
You get the pen still. Still have a pen, my friend. Still have a pen. Not that, but the reason is because satisfactory is unique to each of us. I don't know if you all caught the slides that were going up, like, you know when you sit in a movie theater and they have those like slides, those things that go up. Before we all sat down, there were some slides going up around up here. It said 38% of consumers will stop shopping with a company if their orders are delivered late, and said 28% of consumers will stop shopping if a buy online pickup in store is late, or whatever it was, something like that, right? As an analyst, I see numbers like that, and I think about data differently. I think, well, that means there's a percentage of people that are perfectly fine with that. Right? It's not enough to change their behavior. I look at the opposite side of those numbers and say, there are certain customers that don't care. The same customers didn't answer, buy online, pickup in store being late makes me change my behavior, or a late delivery makes me change my behavior, right? Let's go across here, okay? Maybe you need coupons and promotions to be easily accessible. You want a good app experience. You want same-day delivery. You want curbside. You want multiple payment options. You want associates that know what they're talking about. Like, we all want these certain things. You want product reviews. You want comparison charts, right? Each of us has our thing, I'm an analyst. If I'm gonna buy a pen, that pen we talked about, if I'm gonna buy that to replace the one I give him, I need comparison charts and product reviews. That's who I am. My wife, and I know this because I see our credit card bills, she'll buy anything you put in front of her as long as there's a coupon attached to it. We have stuff I have no idea. Well, it was on sale. I'm like, honey, we didn't need that. Okay. But that's who she is. I don't get motivated by coupons and promotions. It's not me. I fill my basket on Black Friday and then I pay full price a week later. That's how stupid I am. But that's what I do because that's just not me. That's, I try to take the right steps, but I don't do it right. So that's the reality of it, is that each of us is unique. And there isn't one thing that's going to win every customer. We just talked about this yesterday at a leadership table that we had here at the conference. We were talking about the idea of each customer. You have to win customers by segment, by segment, by segment. People in business tend to think, we're going to do one thing and it's going to win every customer out there. Come on. That's not true, and you know that's not true. And in fact, one of the biggest challenges with organizations moving forward is they get stuck in this cycle of arguing opinions about whether something matters or not. Amazon recently announced they were going to deliver orders to garages. You guys see that news? A lot of people were like, who cares? Like, what does it matter? 4% of consumers don't order online because they don't have a safe place to deliver products to their home. Is that going to win 50% of the market? No. But it will win that 4%. And then Amazon will do the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, because they understand you don't win markets by doing one big thing. You win markets by finding a pain point for a customer, and you solve that pain point. And then you move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. This is called strategy. And this is what companies don't get. Strategy is about building a plan that makes sense for certain customers. And it's what they want and what they want to experience. So how do you do this? How do you do all this? Okay. The unclear reality of how to do this can be answered in a very simple way. Go back to your offices. I do this, by the way, with executives in Fortune 100 companies. Go back to your offices, pull out some Post-it notes, and write this down. If we knew X, we could do Y. It is just that simple. It is just that simple. If we knew what consumers cared about, coupons and discounts, same-day delivery, curbside, or whatever it is, that's the retail space, obviously, because everyone knows retail, that's why I use it as an example. If we knew what customers wanted assistance when opening a savings account, or if they wanted some sort of help when they were picking out motorcycle insurance, or they wanted to talk to someone on a phone call versus they wanted to talk to a virtual agent. If we knew what they wanted, we could deliver the experience they wanted. When I have executives do this exercise, I usually have them do 2 or 3 of them. I go around the room and I collect them, I put them on the wall and said, congratulations, you just started your first data strategy, ever. Sure, people have data storage, data security, data sharing. I'm big into the alliterations, as you can tell. But they don't have a data strategy. They don't. One of the largest pet food companies in the world just told me they hired this person only in the last 6 months. This person who works on data strategy. So what is the framework for this? So this is a report not even published yet. I'm probably not supposed to show this to you yet. Forrester's probably going to get mad at me if they see this, but that's okay. This is the framework for understanding the customer that's about to be published from Forrester. It is about a 2-year report we've been working on. It takes a long time to get a Forrester report out. But it's understanding what it means to understand a customer. So we're going to deep dive on this stuff, all of this, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. And by the way, I see people taking pictures, which is fine. I don't care. You can tweet that all you want. Do whatever you want with it. It's fine. I'll actually share this deck with you later, so don't worry about that. You catch me on LinkedIn, just go, hey, loved it. Give me that deck. It's yours. Not a problem, okay? But this is the framework we're going to go through. So let's start with the data elements and understanding what they are. Because these, by the way, are in order. Top to bottom, easiest to hardest. Okay, characteristics. Now this is what you all got. This is what you bought. This is what you know. This is what you understand. Age, gender, zip code, last product purchase, income level, blah, 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 blah. Everybody has this information though. Can you win knowing this? No, because your competitors also know this. Everybody knows this stuff, right? Plus, it's, when we talk about personalization, we often call them personalization engines, right? We'll say it's a personalization engine. What goes into an engine? Gas. What if you put mud in the tank of that engine? It's going to run like garbage, right? Do all men on the planet want the same thing at the same time? Do all people in a certain category of wealth want the same thing at the same time? Do all people 45 to 55 want the same thing at the same time? No, absolutely not. You say it out loud, and of course it sounds ridiculous. So no wonder you get mediocre results from this. It's okay data. It's a good starting point, but it's just a starting point. Good to great. Good to great. Right? So that's number one. So the characteristics. They can be objective. Age is not really disputable. That's a legal thing, right? Gender these days, disputable. Someone could identify a certain way, right? There's subjective and there's objective characteristics. Number two, considerations. Now this is where companies think, all right, we're ready to check the box. We know what this person is interested in buying. Stop listening, because now we're going to get them to convert. That's where companies usually stop. And that's called intent in many cases. What is the customer's intent, right? I recently bought a phone. Cal would be excited to know that I went with a Samsung. But I recently bought a phone, and I went to Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile's websites to check out their phones. The same phone, by the way. So each of them knew the same thing about me right away. You know how easy it is to learn when a customer is interested in buying? You do it like that. Look at the first 3 clicks. Done. That's not a competitive advantage. Everybody's going to know that. Everyone's going to know what you're in the market for pretty quickly. We're all retargeting with the same information, with the same sort of understanding of what the customer wants to buy, right? Now, why am I showing the conversion rate up here? This is important because there's another aspect to intent. What do I want to do today? Conversion rates. Typically, in this room, I'm going to guess most of you somewhere between 5 and 15%, depending on the industry that you're in. Okay? Remember I said about looking at data and looking at the reverse? Go to the other side. Look at the people that don't convert. That is your percentage of customers that day we're trying to figure out whether or not to buy from you. I know you don't even look at that group, but if you start thinking about that group that way, you start to realize how many opportunities you're actually missing. How many thousands of people said, should I buy from you today? Are you going to deliver the experience I want today? We design our websites and our digital properties to create conversion. And yet most people do not come to our websites every day, or apps or anything else, to convert. In other words, we're designing it for the minority of customers. Think about that. Where does that sound like a good business strategy? Steve, you have an MBA, right? Yeah. Did you ever have a class that said, design things for the smaller portion of people? No. Right? Doesn't sound like a good idea. Doesn't sound like a good idea, does it? And yet that's exactly what our web properties do. Once again, everybody does this. So we feel like that's okay. And yet there's lots of opportunity missed. So the considerations can be intent, but also what do I want to accomplish today? Next layer down. This is really, this matters so much, and people don't even realize how much it matters. Let's say I want to buy a leather jacket. Okay, now you know my intent. And today you know that I want to do research. You know, understand my research. But do you know what I'm interested in about this product specifically? That it's black, that it's red, that it has zippers, that it's long, that it's short, that it's real, that it's fake, that it's got that Bon Jovi frilly stuff hanging off of it, right? Do you know? Because it would be a lot easier to show me the right product if you knew, wouldn't it? Right? There's another part to that. there's another part to the curiosities that we care about, which is, what are the elements of this? Can I finance this item? Can I customize this item? Can I send it to a friend? Can I have it gift wrapped? Is it available in your local store so I can pick it up today? These are things I'm also curious about that may be the curiosities that need to be satisfied for me in order for me to buy from you today. The next one are conditions, and this is probably the biggest thing. I kind of highlighted earlier when I went across this first row and gave you all the conditions that these people would have for buying from you. What matters to a customer? What matters to a customer? Think about it this way. If you knew that customers cared about being able to finance something, stop promoting to them. Stop trying to buy your customers. Stop trying to send coupons and promotions. Just tell them what you're willing to do for them, the value you're willing to give them. You can't do that today because you don't know. But if you could learn, if you can create digital dialogues with your customers to understand what they care about, what they need, and what they want, your marketing becomes far more effective because now you're not trying to buy them through coupons and promotions and losing margin dollars. You're talking to them about the things they care about. You're talking about the things that matter to them. We know that you always use buy online, pick up in store. So we have that available to you. Do you have that as a segment? I don't know how many data geeks are in the room here, but go back to your offices and ask someone, if you're not in charge of it, to print out your customer database. Don't ask them for the rows, ask them for the column headers. And look at what you really know. Look at do you know my favorite day of the week to shop? Do you know who my favorite store associate is? Do you know if I always use buy online, pick up in store? Do you know if I always buy shirts and pants together or I always buy shirts together, right? Do you know? Because if it's not in your database, you don't know. You can say, we can look, but if you don't have a database, you can't program it, you can't algorithmically program it. And that includes payments. The way I pay, how I pay. We talked a lot about loyalty programs yesterday too, and the connection to payments and loyalty programs and how those things have a relationship to one another. But these conditions are what customers look for. This is a driver of why customers choose certain things. Why do people shop at Amazon? Boy, that's a good question, right? Why do people shop at Amazon? I'll give you the answer. When you shop at Amazon, do you say it like this? I'm gonna go buy it from Amazon. No, you say it like this. I'll just get it from Amazon. Don't you? That tells you everything you need to know about people's relationship with Amazon. That word just means I could give a crap about this thing, right? If I could go and it'd be in my house, that's how I'd want to buy it, right? And that relates to everything from dog food to diapers, bananas, batteries, light bulbs, phone charging cords. We don't care about, the average American household has 16,000 individual items in them. 16,000. From the drywall on the walls, to the Q-tips we have, to our washer, to our dog collars, whatever it is. 16,000. We maybe care about 3 of them, right? The rest of it's commoditized buying in general. And even like companies that have brands that say, we're not a commodity, the minute I decide that I love your lipstick from Sephora, whatever it is, that's a commodity now. Now I just want it. I don't want to spend time shopping your website anymore. I just want that lipstick, right? These are the conditions we have to understand. The next layer down, number 5, context. Context matters. What am I doing? How am I doing it? How have I done things in the past that make me me? What are the nuances of this moment that matter? Right? Don't offer me financing when I'm buying something for 10 bucks, even though I use financing to buy something for 1,000. Don't offer me a credit card when I already have one of your credit cards, right? Context matters. These kinds of things are really important. And again, as Jordan alluded to earlier, don't you know me by now? Don't you know that I already have an account with you? Hey, we're recommending these products you buy. Oh, for that thing that I returned yesterday, right? That just comes across as not listening. We always talk about customer relationship management. You know, it's been a long time since I've been in the dating world, a long time. But I seem to recall I got a lot more second dates when I just shut up and just listen. And when someone said something to me, I just said something back related to what they said. Date went great, right? I didn't try to predict that someone who was interested in saving the whales would also be interested in like global warming. That's what you do when you do next best action. Consumers are talking to you every day about what they care about, and yet we're trying to predict what they want to talk about. Just start listening. If I always come in the weekends and shop, don't send me an email on Monday morning. Why are you doing that? I don't shop during the week with you. I always shop on the weekends. Send it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is that understanding the customer becomes so very important. You're starting to see like how far from great we actually are in many cases. So the last C is conceptions. The last C is conceptions, which is a little bit ironic considering the fact that, again, everybody talks about surprising and delighting customers. We have zero idea if we're making customers happy or not. Zero. You tell me you can measure whether customers are happy or not, I tell you you're lying. You are absolutely lying. Pick any customer that went to your website today. You know if they're happy or sad from that interaction? No, you don't. You have no clue. Now, this is where we're getting into some really deep, innovative stuff with natural language processing and computer vision and things of that nature, particularly in physical spaces. We're going to start to see more and more of this, where we can get a good sense of what the customer feels and what they care about and whether something makes them happy or sad. And the problem with this is that the same thing, the challenge is that companies will often make assumptions about what's going to make the customer happy. We're going to talk about our sustainable messaging. Great. There's a set of customers that's going to care so much that they're going to buy from you. That's a small group. Just go look at your sustainability and corporate policy page and see the website visits. It's going to be very low. It's a very small portion. No matter all the people talk about it, it's a very low portion. There's a number of people that said, good for you, but I'm not going to change my behavior because of it. And there's a whole other set of people that would say, I think you're a tree-hugging company and I'm not going to buy from you anymore because of that. Right? There's a big blow up on LinkedIn the other day because this guy was posting about how he doesn't believe in Disney pushing their values on everybody, so he's going to boycott Disney. And the whole internet blew up, right? Because he had an opinion that was different than other people. Not right or wrong. I'm an analyst. I don't think about right or wrong that way. I just think about the impact to your business. And what you think is safe space to do may not be safe space. So just think about that as you're going forward and looking at that. Now, there's a very unsexy part to this conversation. I'm an analyst, so I do have to do an unsexy part of my presentation. And that is operationalizing all this, okay? As an analyst at a company like Guitar Center, I can tell you I went down more rabbit holes than I can count. We spend our days going down rabbit holes, chasing information, chasing data. The truth of the matter is we don't need more data. We need the right data. We need the right data. So here are the 4 things you need to ask yourself when you're going after data. These are operational guardrails so you stay out of those rabbit holes. Don't go after things that are just interesting, but rather can actually impact your business. Number 1, is the data reliable enough to trust that it represents each customer clearly and accurately? Number 2, can the data directionally predict customer behaviors with a high degree of certainty? Number 3, is the data actionable enough to improve our marketing engagement strategies? And number 4, is the data relevant supporting our company's priorities, goals, objectives as a brand? Remember that Post-it note exercise I talked about earlier? When you do that, these are your yes or no questions. If the answer is no to any of these questions, rethink what you're going after. That's how you stay out of rabbit holes. That's how you chase stuff that isn't going to matter. I don't care what your CEO says. There's lots of things that don't matter. There's plenty to go after, but my apologies to the CEOs in the room. I just looked over at Steve, he was like smiling. Sorry, bud. All right. But the truth is, there are things that are going to make a difference for your business. But if there's an opportunity cost going after something that's not going to matter, because you're not going to go after the stuff that does matter. Nobody has unlimited time and resources, am I right? Okay. So what can you do with all this? When you're able to do this, when you're able to understand customers at the level, you can move to the next generation of personalizing experiences, which is individualization. Okay? The idea of individualization is that it is a tier up from segmentation. Good to great. Problem is most people think segmentation is the North Star of individualized experiences. It is not. Your personas were never meant to be used for marketing, by the way. Personas were meant to be an internal tool to help internal teams understand who your customers are. Suddenly, marketing teams started adopting them as if someone who buys yoga pants is a 50-year-old soccer mom. I have yoga pants. Do I look like a soccer mom to any of you? Don't picture me in yoga pants. Okay. The idea is that this pyramid is built a certain way for a reason. I'm not going to say segmentation's dead. That is not what I'm saying at all. Don't walk away thinking that. What I'm saying is it's not the ultimate way of engaging the customer. Using the profile of the customer is the ultimate way of engaging the customer. Not comparing me to a bunch of other people that look like me, but actually understanding what do I care about? What do I need? What do I want? Who am I? And how are you serving me as an individual? This is not impossible, folks. It was impossible 10 to 15 years ago, but we've evolved, processing power, and the fact of the matter is consumers share more data than ever before. As I said, I would share this deck with you. So I am not going to go through this slide because it's way too much information, but it gives you a sense of like, as you move towards individualization, these are the things you should be thinking about. These are the things you should be considering. The other thing to remember is many of you probably have an omni-channel strategy. Yes? Yes. Well, guess what? Omni-channel and personalization are not two separate strategies. They are one in the same. Why? Because it doesn't make sense to create cross-channel experiences that also aren't relevant and of value, right? Makes sense. So bring these teams together, make sure they're talking to each other. Because sometimes you're going to collect data in one place and use it in another place. Fabletics, as a company, you go to their dressing room and you sign in with your email address and you scan the items you're going to bring in with you. They don't use that in the store. They use it in their email campaigns later to be more relevant to those customers. You already have the ecosystem in place. That's the good news. The bad news is understanding the customer is far more complex than it's ever been before. As I said, it goes far beyond age and gender and zip code, which is right at the top of that chart. The other good news is you're probably investing in technologies that will help you with this. When we ask companies about their investments in MarTech, for example, the number one priority is that it's connecting to other systems and the flow of data. Number one priority. So you're already kind of doing this. You just don't even know why you're doing this, but this is why you're doing it. It's to get to this state. It's to get to these capabilities. So there is some good news, is that it's not all just heavy lifting from ground zero. It's a little bit easier than that because you've already got some of the parts and pieces. And by the way, let me point out something very important about consumers, if I haven't made it clear already. We're influenced by everything that we experience everywhere. Every time a consumer is exposed to improved digital experience, their expectations for all experiences are reset to a new higher level. Case in point, if I went to my banking website and there was a problem with my account and a little virtual agent popped up and said, is there a problem? You've been hanging around here? Yeah, there's a problem with my account. Goes back and says, oh, we think we found it. Refresh your browser, refresh it. No problem, right? Right? Now you are such a busy individual, you go to your insurance website, okay? Your insurance website has a problem with your account. What are you doing? What's the first thing you do? You look around for the little virtual agent, aren't you? Right? But you don't find it. You find a link that says, give us a call if you have a problem with your account. Are you instantly disappointed? Yes. Did you compare that insurance company to another insurance company? No, we don't do that. We don't think like that. Consumers don't think about channels and verticals and blah, blah, blah. When my mom first bought buy online, pick up in store from Starbucks, her question to me was, why doesn't everybody do this? That's the way consumers think. So don't just look at your competitors and say, what are they doing? You have to look at what consumers are expecting. Half of the work that I do is with insurance companies, banks, the US government, casinos, state tax, name it. I work with them. And they're all asking me, what is the consumer experiencing in retail that is driving their experiences that we need to match and deliver on? They've stopped looking at their competitors. Case in point, JetBlue, right? This is the ecosystem of opportunity. They're thinking more about like, how do we get to know the customer that goes beyond selling the airline ticket? How do you understand a customer to serve value, to create services for them, okay? How do we use this information in ways that understand the customer, but also how do we use our existing digital touch points to learn about them and know who they are? How many of you have a coffee payments app of some form? Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks of some form. Yeah, you think you have a payments app. You don't have a payments app. You have a customer data capturing machine in your hand. That's the way Starbucks looks at it. And that's the way you need to look at it. When you create a digital touch point, you are missing the boat if you don't design it to learn about the customer. That is a miss. Everybody does it. They're like, great experience at the glass. What did you learn about the customer? Nothing. Of course you're handcuffed. Of course you can't create customer experiences because you're not building the input tools. I would love to walk into a Dick's Sporting Goods store and tell them what I'm interested in that day. I can do it on their website by searching. When I walk into a store, they don't even ask. Nobody asks me. Maybe an associate will walk up, maybe not, right? We haven't really designed the input tools, and that's what we need to get to. And in addition, you have to unify that experience. As I said earlier, personalization and omnichannel are really two of the same. Sephora does a great job of this. I use their beauty station one day because I'm dedicated to my job. You wouldn't know it, but I'm an Autumn. And the women had a lot of fun with me there. We had a really good time. But at the end of the session, The woman was like, would you like this experience later, like to access this data later? And I said, yes. See what she did there? She offered me value. This was process for them. They do this all the time. Would you like to access later? Yes. Just give us an email address. Boom, I'm known. I went from being an unknown customer to immediately being a known customer with one data point. Now they know what I'm interested in, what I care about, what I liked, what I didn't like, what store I visited. I can name you 20 things they learned about me just in that moment by asking that question. Are you learning about the customers in the customer journey? Don't just build your customer journey maps for experiences, build them for understanding your customers as well. So critically important. And it's going to get harder, not easier. You have to find your own way of doing these things, but companies are innovating on a way to learn about customers. You know, they sell a lot of these things over at Amazon, a lot of them. This is their customer relationship management tool in the future, I guarantee it. This is how we will get to know you. Now, I'm under NDA, I'm probably under 3 NDAs with Amazon now that I think about it, but they did give me permission to say one thing. Do you know what Amazon's strategy is? Everyone thinks they know it. Do you know what Amazon's strategy is? Straight from their mouths, straight from their mouths. Huh? Take over the world. No. No, they don't want that. Anybody? Come on, you all compete against them, right?
Solve customer problems.
What? Solve customer problems? Pretty decent one. No, but close.
Space exploration.
Space exploration. That's Jeff's. That's Jeff's. That's a side project. What it's like to be a billionaire. This is my side project, more in space. Okay. No. Their job, their main objective is to get you to say the word Amazon every day of your life. And you probably do. Whether it's through Fire TV, buying from them, watching movies, using your Alexa device. They want to be seen as a utility in your life, not as a retailer. That is the scariest mission statement I've ever heard in my life. Because it means they're willing to buy Whole Foods. You know, when you're in grocery, you'll have things like cheese as a cost, cost thing. You'll say, cheese is $1. No, you're not going to make any money on that, right? Amazon's in a position where they can take the entire Whole Foods business and make it an acquisition play and not make any money on it at all. Because they don't care. They'll make the $30 off the sweater you buy because you bought at Whole Foods. Because they have the relationship. Who gets into grocery? Nobody. It's a terrible industry. It's a terrible industry. It's difficult, it's hard. Why did Amazon do it? Because they want to be a utility in your lives. And what do we do more than anything else, aside from buy music? Grocery shop. It's a frequency play for them. And that's what they want. So that's what you're up against. You're up against a company that every day wants to hear about you, learn about you as a consumer, understand your needs, and find ways to serve you. That is their strategy. What is yours? Is it surprise and delight? Does that sound like it's going to go head to head with that strategy from Amazon? It's not. Okay? It's not. And even if you're a brand, you might be saying, well, what does this have to do with me? Well, the ecosystems that are developing out there, as we become more digitally savvy and more things from doctor's appointments to religious services to dating become digitized, this creates opportunities for companies to get to know customers. Earlier it was said, I think it was Cal who said, the right product, right place, right time, something of that nature. The challenge with that, the really big problem, and the thing that everybody needs to get over is that that's going to be in a channel you own. It's not necessarily going to be in a channel you own, right? Now, some of you might recognize this middle icon. My wife hates it, I know what this is. This is Tinder right here in the middle, okay? Now, what do these have to do with each other? Well, what's the perfect time to offer scope? 30 minutes before a Tinder date, right? Or flowers, right? Do they own this channel? No. What's the right place to offer an Uber ride? On my laptop? Or when I'm on my app traveling with United Airlines, right? Right place, right time is about the ecosystem engagement. We call this inline commerce. When I have to go to a birthday, when I'm signing up my kids to go to a birthday party, can I buy the gift right there on the Evite, right? Can I do those things? I'm not making this stuff up. This is the things that people are working on. I'm in my car, it's a perfect time to order a Starbucks through my smart car and go pick it up because I can't use my phone because I'm driving, right? This is the way you need to start thinking about customer engagement. The customer journey is not necessarily going to be in the channels you own. It's going to be in all channels. Now, the other reality that you have to deal with, because I worked in this industry, is you got to get everyone on the same bus. 53% of companies say that culture limits their ability to digitally transform. 82% say organizational silos. You probably fall into one of those two camps. In addition to that, having the right metrics for success is not about KPIs of conversion, is can we stay top of mindset with the consumer? Here's another hard reality for y'all. The average retailer probably has the consumer buy from you, what, 3-4 times a year? Maybe, right? Even your best customers, maybe like 5 or 6? How many times a year do you email them? 300? Okay, that means you're irrelevant to them 295 times a year. 295 times you're irrelevant to them because you don't know how to talk to them. You're just trying to get them to convert. You know they're not going to convert. Even your best customers don't convert that much, right? And yet we talk to them and talk to them and talk to them and we stop listening, okay? So this is the mindset. These are the metrics. Lifetime value is going to matter. And that's how you win customers. Not by getting conversion, but by staying top of mindset between the purchases. You want to tweet something? Tweet that, okay? It is the ability to stay top of mindset between purchases is what creates loyalty. It's not just in the moment of purchasing, it's between the moments of purchasing. That's how we create loyalty. So what does your company need to do? 5 things. Aside from everything else I said. Sorry. Number 1, identify and break your company's assumptions. Challenge your thinking about what each customer values and why they would actually buy from you. Remember the beginning of the presentation? Why they would actually buy from you. What do they value? Not just what you think they value, what do they actually value? Number 2, don't get behind or too far ahead of customer expectations. Your number 1 priority needs to be fixing what you can't do today that customers already see value in. Look, no one's going to walk into a retail store this year, look around and go, oh, there's no virtual reality? I'm out of here. Nobody's going to say that. No one also stands at the door and goes, oh, that package better be delivered by a drone or I'm never going to buy from that company again, right? Don't get too far ahead of the customer. If they don't expect things, don't work on it yet. Work on what you can't do that they already expect from other industries. Number 3, there you go. Fish where the fish are. Invest in innovation where and how customers already shop with you to improve what they already love you for. Don't just say we're doing it good, make it great. If customers are using your app, double down on it. If people love talking to your associates, double down on it. Don't try to get customers to do something they don't already do. We should learn our lessons by now. Consumers are not going to behave in ways they don't want to behave. And if they do, they'll resent you for it. So I see this with like promotions. Oh, we're going to offer you 10% off. In-store only. Come on. Right? Is that customer obsessed? To try to make a customer do what you want them to do? No. That's company obsessed. We need to get away from that because that could be the one thing. That could be the shopping cart moment of why a customer walks away from you. One thing. Number 4. Don't rush to check that box. Without clear business purpose or outcome to measure against, you run the risk of failing to create sustained customer loyalty. Don't just win using promotions and offers and coupons. Communicate value to the customer. And finally, fix pain points before you try to surprise or delight customers. Future actions are far more influenced by pain experience than by pleasurable moments. That's not me, that's every study ever done about us. Y'all drive cars? Y'all drive cars? People drive cars? Okay. How many of you get to where you're going, get out of your car, turn and go, thank you, car. Thank you for getting me where I need to go. I love you so much. Nobody does that. Maybe some Tesla owners. Nobody else does that. Nobody else does that. But if that car breaks down and where you need to go, would you have some choice words for that car? Yes, you would. Would you remember that moment? Yes, you would. We are far more influenced by pain than by pleasure. We walk into a store, things happen, we go, oh, that's nice. When things go wrong, we're like, never going to shop with them again. See the difference? Solve pain points. That's how we get to happy customers. That's how we get to loyal customers. I want to say thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. Any questions, let me know.
Before you go, I love the advice and the perspective for the audience of printing out the database, not the rows, but the columns, to figure out what you really know about the shopper. So I have to put you on the spot a little bit. Do you have a favorite metric, a tool you've used as an operator or a tool you like to see with your clients to see on that column header?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the retail space if that's okay on this one.
It's not relevant to this room at all, of course.
Yeah, well, the thing of it is, like, I really like the metric of store associate. Why do I like the metric of favorite store associate? Like, if Joan is my local favorite store associate at my Neiman Marcus store, I always work with Joan. I always check to see if Joan's working that day. And if she is, that's who I go and talk to. Like, she is the face of that company to me. A lot of times the people in our stores become the face of our company, and we devalue that a lot. But really, a lot of customers find value in that. And by the way, let me just point out that physical retail, look, stores are not going to die anytime soon. We'll all be dead. I don't mean to be morbid. We'll all be dead before stores are dead, just to be super clear. My kids will shop in stores, okay? That's the reality of it, okay? Because we like physical shopping. We like going in. We like getting out of the house, especially now, right? And so that to me is a favorite metric. I really do enjoy that one because it starts to get more personalized then. It really does say like, hey, Joan's working this weekend. Or on the Neiman Marcus app, for example, Joan is in the top spot of being able to FaceTime, call, connect with her right through the app. And by the way, Neiman Marcus very publicly stated that when they had the reason I like it is because it got business outcomes. They did a study and they found when consumers walked into a Neiman Marcus store and dealt with a random associate, a new customer, versus when a customer walks in and deals with the same associate 3 times in a row, that customer would spend 10 times more than a customer who dealt with a random one, right? We are people, we are social creatures, we're social animals. We love connecting with people, right? And I think by taking the human element out of it and making it all about data and such, I think that's a mistake, and I think we need to go back to that.
That is a great insight. Thank you. Round of applause for Brendan.